Afrofish OG.
What is going on, everyone? It is another edition of Afro in the Know. I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening. This is probably the most, from setup to execution, the fastest podcast I think I've ever had to set up it before. But today we have fellow content creator and video game connoisseur. He doesn't actually eat video games, but ThorasaurusWrex. Also, one of the most dopest fucking usernames you could possibly have.
I appreciate it. Again, my first of all, name's actually Thor, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And hey, I love dinosaurs, Jurassic Park, Land Before Time, cried like a baby during Fantasia when the dinosaurs get murked. As a little kid, oh yeah, I cried. And then, hey, my favorite Mass Effect character, knows how that's spelled WREX. Not Rex, bro.
Dude, Not Rex was a fucking G. I love Not Rex. I love Mass Effect. I keep telling I had the Legendary Edition, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go finish it. I went back and I played through the first one again, which thank God for the Legendary Edition, because the 360 edition is brutal. Oh, it is very brutal. But holy shit, that game is just fucking bonkers. I love it. But that's neither here nor there. I'm sorry. I'm getting myself off track already. That's just what we do here on Afro in the Know. It might as well just be called ADHD in the Know. But but I don't want to talk about too much. I know everybody else here already knows my spiel, but I want them to know more about you. Like, where did you get started? How long you've been playing? Because I know you've been playing for a minute. You've been gaming for a minute.
So I'm 38, right? So old man unk of the nerd space. That's cool, dude. I've been playing since I was little. Like, there's videos and stuff of like me and my cousin Mike when we were 2. Duck hunt, bro. Like, straight up duck hunt. And like, we're 2, so we're right up on the screen tapping that, with the end zapper. Like, we're tapping the screen, getting mad at the dog, and it's been
the dog was a dick, bro. Like,
oh, bro,
there was the first troll in video games is that fucking dog.
I feel like Nelson Munch's laugh is modeled after that dog, just in human form, bro.
That's fair. Like, the thing is, with when I look at Duck Hunt, and I'm just like, dude, this game was so simple yet so amazing. But at the same time, like I mentioned, that dog is a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yo, you a bitch, bro. Like, I don't think I've ever been more upset, because I never got to play the NES until I was a teenager. And so when I first saw like the dog, while I'm like, and it goes right back down, and I'm like, yo, who the fuck are you? Like, am I getting mad at pixels?
We also remember, hey, that's on an AV cable system instead of modern things like you're used to, which is the 5-prong or HDMI and all that, or other high end screen transfer data rates. So that NZAP is running through an NES through those AV cables. It's not accurate information. So like, you're like, nah, dude, I saw it. I pew-pewed that duck right there, and it went, nah, sorry, let me just fly off. So then you're mad because you got it. Like when you're a little kid playing, no, I tagged you. Like, no. It's literally...
I didn't even think about that. I love that. Yeah, it is. But you're right though. It's the thing with the duck hunt that I do remember is it's inaccurate as fuck. But because you're such a young kid and you don't realize that, yeah, it's just the anger that slowly builds is just like, damn, I did not imagine me being this bad. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of video games that when I look back, I'm like, yo, these are hard as shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I love it. Like, I mean, I think the one that people I know people talk about whenever I say what's a video game that comes up that's really difficult, right? It's Battletoads. It, like you know what gets me most mad also? Battletoads should have been a TV show.
It was a TV show.
Oh, it was? Like in the 80s, right?
Yeah, 80s, early 90s. Yeah, they.
Okay. Maybe I missed it. Because I do know that I wish they would have brought it like a 2000s. I mean, they already had the Turtles. But it kind of is what it is. Um, but I don't know, man. Like I think when I look at difficult video games, it always bothers me the most. Like games like Battletoads, Super Mario Bros. Used to piss me off as a kid.
1992, bro. Like if you don't want to Google that, it looks so rough, bro.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I remember it because I was 5, so yeah. But yeah,
I was a year old, so like.
How dare you not know when you don't have cognitive thought?
Right? Damn, if only I would have just came out of the womb just already knowing.
Yeah.
Like, no, and that's and that's what's I would say really really funny about is when you're a kid and the stuff that you will put up with in a video game because you just don't know.
Oh, bro. Aladdin, the Disney games, notoriously difficult and made for children. Like, mind you, they're made for 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds and stuff like that. Notoriously difficult, bro.
I heard, this is just a rumor. I heard that if you look at the original cases for those games, you can see Mickey Mouse in the background going.
If Mickey Mouse is flipping me off in that, it makes total sense, bro.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and that's the, when I look at games, that were unnecessarily hard as a child. For me, it was Tarzan. I think it was on the Game Boy Advance. They had Tarzan, and I struggled against the leopard. I don't remember the leopard has a name. I just don't remember it.
The leopard had a name?
I believe the leopard or it's a jaguar. Is it jaguar?
The jungle cat has a name.
Yeah, I believe the jungle cat has a name. I'm gonna look this up now.
Dude,
Sabor.
When do they say that? Do they ever say that in the movie?
I don't think so. The cat name is Sabor, a leopard. Leopard. But I don't think they ever actually say Sabor. And now that it's just a cat. Like,
I feel like I'm being gaslit by Kingdom Hearts at this point. Like, well, we named it Kingdom Hearts, so it has a name now. Okay.
No. No, his name is Sabor. Fuck you, Kingdom Hearts. You're not taking the W on that one. But and that's the thing is when I look back at moments from before to now, like games that were incredibly hard. Surprisingly, Kingdom Hearts was one that I actually struggled with when I was a kid. But I think I didn't understand RPGs. I didn't get to play those, the Chrono Trigger, Legend of Dragoon, or anything like that. So,
Kingdom Hearts is a great thing to bring up with because RPGs. You said that's gonna be one of our topics. So you want to go in on that one right off?
We're gonna go in on that. That's why. We're gonna.
In all fairness, that's my first true. You love video games as a kid because it's something you're interacting with. But as someone who started reading young and all that, RPGs are my true, specifically JRPGs, but RPGs of all varieties are my bread and butter. So, and this is what I always say, when it comes to RPGs, people hyper focus on what's big, what's successful, because you all want to, the water cooler talk, you want to be a part of the conversation. The niche games don't get played as much, but they're there. So like Kingdom Hearts, right? People will look at that and be like, oh, that's one of your first action JRPGs and all that. But the Tales of games, Tales of Symphonia, Fantasia, whatever one you want to go with, have existed since the 90s on PlayStation. Maybe the first one was on Super Nintendo, but it wasn't in America. But they've existed since the 90s. YS, again, that's existed since the Nintendo, and that's always been real-time action RPG.
Well, isn't it the Trials game too? The Trials games, not Trials games. Trials of Mana, like Trials of Mana.
Oh yeah, the Mana series.
Yes.
So
They have
Saikendetsu is its name in Japanese for those who want to be like, it's Saikendetsu 3 is Trials of Mana actually. Like, nah, bro.
It's just Trials of Mana to me.
Yeah,
And they actually have them on the Xbox now.
Yeah.
And so I was starting to play Trials of Mana, and I was like, this is fun.
It is. As someone who went to the high seas to play that when I was in high school, because again, that's Saikendetsu 3, Trials of Mana.
What's high seas?
You play it with something. Oh wait, we're on Twitch, not TikTok, right?
We're on Twitch. You're good.
Yeah,
we're not on TikTok.
I emulated the shit out of that in high school, bro. Fan translations. Oh my god, all those people who put in the time and effort to learn Japanese, hopefully, right? I don't know if it's translated right. I hope it is.
No. I mean, otherwise you're just gonna get another ghost stories dub. But like,
yeah, but like the Mana games, those are always been real time active stuff. Granted, it's with the modernization of the Secret of Mana redone, Trials of Mana redone, and all that. Yeah, it's now on a 3D plane instead of top down type deal.
Mm-hmm. Look, I've never really, like I said, I've never really put a chance to play like besides until they brought them up. But like the Trials of Mana ones, the obviously the Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, I never got a chance to play any of those. So like a lot of these RPGs, I think people forget they built the foundations to see your RPGs as you see now. And
Chrono Trigger is one of the first ones to be interactive on the whole turn-based side of it.
No.
Yeah. Chrono Trigger has interactive ability on its turn-based.
I thought that was just Legend of Dragoon that did that.
No. There's something even before Legend of Dragoon. It's not as well known. It's Legend of Legaia.
Once again, I'm gonna have to look this up because I don't know any of these, man. Like I'm like looking at all these. Is it LA?
Yeah, Legaia. It was like a martial arts turn-based JRPG from the PS1 era.
That sounds dope. Yeah, I can see definitely it has that PS1 look. That's so cool. Like that's awesome to me. I'm not gonna lie. For me personally, I think it's really cool to see a lot of these older games who are already setting up a groundwork. So when people see things like obviously like Expedition 33 and the way that plays, these games were doing it first. Like
one of the more successful ones, another turn-based JRPG. It had what was it called? The Ring of Judgment, which is Shadow Hearts.
Okay, I think I remember hearing of Shadow Hearts.
So Shadow Hearts, you know how like Expedition 33 it has the button, it has the diamond around it, and it, Shadow Hearts had a ring that again, like a gauge, it would circle through, and you had a green zone, you had a yellow, green, and a red zone. Like yellow was, super duper effective, green was effective, and red, you fucked up, right. You missed. Like,
that's fair.
No, it didn't have the Legend Expedition 33 pushes it even further with, technically speaking, you don't have to take damage. You can dodge, you can parry and all that. Like other ones have had it where you could defend extra and all that, but they never had just pure damage negation. So
no, yeah,
it's everything's going to be something unique to it, and that is Expedition's unique input on interactive turn-based.
And so then I would like also when it comes to talking about the way that turn-based goes, because it feels like then something like Pokemon took those aspects and then just simplified it, right? Simplified it as much as possible for kids, kind of way. Because then it's like to me, like one thing that I noticed with the games like obviously Expedition 33 did this. Sea of Stars is like this. Fuck, I can't think of the name right now. The Legend of the Dragoon's kind of like this. is that, with Pokemon, like you just launch it, you're just on one side of the place, they're on the other, you launch it, oh, you missed. You see this in Persona 2. I've learned now that I don't like it when I'm playing a game and all of a sudden, oh, your attack just missed. I know it's supposed to be more strategic because you're supposed to boost your accuracy and all that stuff, but it doesn't keep me engaged. And I think that's one of the things that was, at least for a while after these early games that you were mentioning, that was missing from turn-based style games was the engagement between them. And I could be wrong, but that's just how I've always felt about it.
So, perfect example. Pure turn-based, right? We're not going to talk about interactive. We're just talking about those are for numerical nerds. And I am a numerical nerd, right? One of my favorite all-time RPGs. Now, this is, again, a tactical RPG, SRPG, because people like to, change up what if it's tactical or strategy, is the Makai-verse made by Nippon Ichi. That's anything Disgaea, Phantom Brave, Makai Kingdom. Their whole, because they're all interconnected because they all allow crossovers and everything like that.
Okay. Yep.
But so you miss, right? Well, and the same thing with Pokemon and Persona and all that. You can stat boost, or you can number boost. Let's be real here. Pokemon. Hey, you caught a Growlithe. Your Growlithe, Growlithe is a fire physical Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you caught one with a crappy nature. So now instead of it being physical, a physical attacker, it's a special attacker. Well, I now have to go through and do IV and EV training as well. Like there are ways in flat turn base. It's all about stat padding. Now again, not everyone cares about stat padding, but if you
you can fucking bonk build your way through that game real fucking easy.
Yeah. And that's where traditional turn base go. Like traditional turn base is all about stat padding. Like if you like numbers, hey, cool. Big numbers go burr. Like I did something.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct on that. But and it seems like with the interactive, more interactive turn-based games, I think what's fun about it to me is I think there's a way that you can create it. Obviously, Expedition 33 did this, I think, really well, giving you, like you said before, you have a chance to literally no hit run this whole fucking game.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting people to do that. Like, give it a couple of years, not even a couple of years, like fucking months from now. And you're gonna see
someone's
people.
Already doing it, I thought.
Huh?
I thought someone already did it, or like they did.
I didn't know if someone already did it. Already.
Like, I know someone did. The Super Simon. Mm-hmm. Someone no hit run that full. Like with his light and dark attack where he just.
I've not gotten to Simon.
No, I'll send you.
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I know of Simon, and I've seen if I watch a video, I've seen glimpses of stuff he can do.
Someone no hit. Someone no hit the super boss already though, and like if you've seen the things that he can do, like that's a long list of attacks that are just.
That's quick. Fucking crazy. I mean, it's. Don't get me wrong. When you parry successfully, and you even if you no hit, like I did it with the final. But spoilers for those for Expedition 33. I really, the game's been out for almost about a month now. I don't know what to tell you. But for example, when you fighting Final Renor, right? And he goes into his curator form, and I was he hits you with the 6 or 7 hit attack, right? Yeah. He swings once, then he swings again. And then I'm just ping, 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 and I'm like, okay, no, motherfucker, you don't get to just start ping ponging, okay? Who the fuck are you? But I love and I think just the fact that you can I was able to it was my second turn, but I would sit there and I would actually have to mouth out when attacks go.
Oh yeah.
I would I'd be in the middle, I'd be talking to people online, and all of a sudden I'd be just silent, and just my brother, what, are you okay? And I'd be like, do. Just
one of your friends are like, oh man, dude, he got touched with. Did he get hit in the head? Was he touched with the Tizen out of nowhere? What happened? He's just out of nowhere, just doing this weird mouth move. What's going? So sorry for the dark humor, but when
No, you're good. No, that's the thing. Like I that's why I love it. I love it, man.
But see, this is also so how you're talking about with the boring aspect of traditional turn-based, right? Because it's all stat padding, and again, as someone who loves it, I understand that, and that's one of those things where, personally, I've always done the separation that when it comes to RPGs, JRPG, whatever type you want to talk about, right? The driving thing that I will always say has been most important is the story, and that's one of those things where I give total credit to Expedition 33 because they've added in gameplay where you're like, oh shit, this gameplay, and sure, sometimes it feels like you parried and like it's like, you didn't parry. No, it's just you didn't learn the pattern yet, and it sucks. But we're all like, oh no, I'm the best gamer, bro. I definitely pushed that button at the right time. This game's bullshit. No, bro, it just you learn it eventually. But Expedition 33 is that combination that RPGs have been looking for, which is gameplay and story on the turn-based level. Because once you get into action RPGs and it's all now gameplay is all subjective because some people like it faster, some people it's slower and all that. Expedition 33 took turn-based and made it so perfectly interactive. And hey, you're seeing it too out there with this is developers. Like, I know people like to give Final Fantasy shit. That's one of the things that
I was actually going to bring that up about Final Fantasy here.
This is one of the things like where Expedition 33, in my opinion, has gone a bit poorly. Is the fan base going? You see, Final Fantasy, this is what we have wanted forever and a day, and all that. Yeah, and because Final Fantasy said that fans don't want turn-based anymore and all that. Or Square Enix said that. The developers of Final Fantasy said that turn-based isn't wanted. And to the fan base who goes like this, of course we want turn-based. Well,
no shit.
That's a lie. And also, that's ignoring the information that since 1991, that's when Final Fantasy introduced the ATB system. That's the active time battle.
Okay.
Active time battle. So both sides, depending on which game it is, it's pretty much always physically represented. There's a little bar that fills up and it's pink. The moment that bar fills up, it's your turn. Now, true real-time the real ATB system, let's just say you're playing a game, you put your controller down, right? It will stop on your turn, and the enemy's turn will keep going. If you don't input a command, guess what? The enemies don't care in Final Fantasy. They'll keep acting because their bar filled. The bar fills mean I go.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still turn-based because you have to wait for your bar to fill to go. But if you do the real ATB system for Final Fantasy, the moment that computer's bar fills, it goes. So if you just sat there, you're talking, oh shit, I lost because I wasn't paying attention. Hey, Claire Obscure, bro, it's on my character. Nothing's gonna happen to me.
No.
Yeah. So the natural progression into an active action RPG makes sense for Final Fantasy. And one of those things too where how we were talking of the Mana series, right? That's another Square Enix property. Oddly enough, the first one was Final Fantasy Legends. Or Final Fantasy Mythic Quest. My apologies, Mythic Quest. That was the first Mana game. But Final Fantasy Mythic Quest, horrible game. Horrible. No one likes it. If they say they like it, they're lying to you and themselves. But like Square Enix makes so many RPGs that I feel like people will just go, well, they focus on the fact that Final Fantasy for the longest time was the king of turn-based RPGs. But they still release Dragon Quest. Every Saga game, if you get a chance, Romancing Saga 2 remake, it's the Tales of the Seven, or whatever it's called. Okay. It's an amazing game. The Saga Frontier 1 and 2 remasters are also really good, but the total remake of Romancing Saga 2 is amazing.
I'll definitely have to go check those because, like, there's. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of RPGs that I don't even know of.
Hey, you know what's crazy? This is how you know the people like it's the Yakuza games are now turn-based RPGs, bro.
The Like a Dragon series.
Well, yeah, it's always been Like a Dragon. Yakuza is just the name they use in Japan. In America.
Okay.
So like Yakuza 1 through 6 in Japan are Like a Dragon 1 through 6.
Oh, okay. So that makes
They
sense.
just, because 7 was or 8, whichever one's the one where they switched over to turn based was so good. They've also centralized the names into the proper naming convention.
Like a Dragon series. Okay, I'm gonna have to because I've never played Yakuza, and I've talked to people who's like, they're like, it's good, you have to try it, and I'd be like, I'm gonna put it in my backlog. But I did like play it for like I don't know, several minutes before I like ended up just crashing. But it was fun. Like it was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, this is something I could see myself playing, and it just like for me it was like the goofiness of it. Like it
That's what
seems
sells
like
it.
yeah, oh yeah. It seems like a game that doesn't take itself too serious, and I love games that also don't feel like they take themselves. But I could be wrong. But it doesn't feel like it takes itself too seriously. It has a lot. It's like the game knows it's about having fun, and so I'm
like if you've ever watched it's literally it knows and accepts that it is essentially a soap opera, and it runs with it.
No, that's awesome. I love games that can kind of poke fun at itself. Like it knows it's like the game knows it's kind of out there. This is why I mean when I used to play, I loved Bayonetta 1 and 2. I haven't played 3 yet. But like I love Bayonetta 1 and 2 because this game just knew that it was fucking goofy.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It didn't try to be something this grandiose experiment thing, but no. I wouldn't be surprised if Expedition 33 is made into a show. I'd like to see the other expeditions. Me personally, I actually kind of don't, except for Expedition 60. But like,
that's all anyone wants. By the way, I just want to point this out. Do you really want to because everyone's like, oh, dude, they need to make an Expedition 60 like video game DLC, whatever it is, right? Think of how it ends. It's gonna end with you as a buff, buck naked motherfucker swimming in the ocean and disappearing.
I mean, that kind of seems like one of my dreams, but whatever.
I'm just saying, bro. It's gonna be because also, gaming's gotten to the point where they show, the bits and the berries and all that stuff. So I'm not looking forward to them showing some old buff French dude all time to swim in like. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Expedition 33. In good grace of your existence, the French are immune from jokes for like 5 years. My apologies.
That's right, immune for jokes for like 5 years. And I said like I don't need a show showing the other expeditions because to me they all ended the same way. So like, I think because I do believe there's going to be another game into this universe. I don't believe it's going to be the only one. And the only reason why is because of the writers. We're going to see, I think, from their point of view. Because we have the painters, the writers, it'll be some sort of prequel. And this is my headcanon is it'll be some sort of prequel that led to the death of Verso. And then started with Expedition 33. I don't really want to see it because I don't to be honest with you, I'm fine. Not everything needs sequels, universes, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need this is what I felt about the first fucking Joker movie. But I get real mad at that one because that one I think it was a good solid movie on its own. It did not need a sequel. But I don't know if I necessarily need this is not just this game too, but I don't know if I necessarily need to see an Expedition 33 like multi cis, either a multi I don't know what to call it, media sense where you have TV
Yeah.
shows and all the other kind of. I don't need all that. I got a good story. I got a story that made me feel good or bad, kind of depending on how you feel.
So personal, if they were to make, again, this is very specifically like, hey, they're making a sequel, prequel, sidequel, whatever they're going to make for, for Thor. I would like them to go off the fact that the sister is the canonical ending, right?
Maya.
Well, I was trying to be not too dicky and spoil it completely.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give. They ain't here. I mean,
Okay.
nah. Anybody
Okay.
else shows up here, it's. I already said, you guys, this is spoiler
Okay.
heavy.
So Miles the canonical ending, right? And then it becomes a Sisyphus. Homeboy pushes the rock up the hill in hell and constantly rolls back, right?
Mhm.
It's now Verso's Sisyphean task to break out, to destroy this cycle, and to prevent it to keep going on. So, you have it where, hey, they do like you see, because it was like 1800s France, right? Have it where it's in modern France. So like Homeboy's been doing this for like a few hundred years and all that. Yeah, I'm just saying, if to make it a horrible task, and then that cyclical nature is finally completed, so he gets rest.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Like, and that's the thing that got me was, and that's don't get me wrong. Like, this is the one thing I will say about the game that I really found it is that I found the whole family. If I wanted to say, there was no real villain in the story, in my opinion, but I feel like the whole family, if you wanted to call it, is the villain of the story. Because for me, I find their issues are now affecting everybody else in that painting, in that canvas, especially Little Verso. Because a lot of people talk about, obviously Gustav, CL, Luna, and everybody else, but also Little Verso's soul, the last little bit where he's just done, but he can't stop painting. And that was the only reason also too why I chose to end. For me, I chose the Verso ending.
Yeah.
Because Verso's ending, to me, made sense. I mean, because as much as I know Renoir, you could say, I think like creation Renoir is more of a villain than fucking real Renoir. But I understand real Renoir's point of view, especially because of the fact of how he's like, I'm literally watching my family tear itself apart. I have to do something, even if it's not correct. You know what I mean? I not correct in the sense of, oh well, these people are real. I don't care. you
Bro,
know,
he's like, they're real to who? You? Cool.
yeah,
They're not actually real though, so it doesn't matter.
exactly. And he's like, but that's the thing. Like, you watch it with, and that's why I loved it, that bit where they show the clip of after you beat him, and he leaves the canvas because he's like, yeah, I ain't gonna change her mind one way or the other. So like, I love the fact that Verso watches I guess it's, even though it's creation Verso, he watches Aline like fall out of the chair. She can barely get herself up at this point. It made sense why he did what he did. Like, both endings, as much as I felt like personally the ending with Verso's ending to me was always felt like the canonical ending to me. And then Mael's ending felt like more of an emotional touch of what if, but it also ends on kind of an awkwardly dark note.
So I because of those reasons, I view it in the reverse, where, because think of it, the way they build a male as a character, right? She is pretty much the strongest, like as good as Verso can be. Your average Verso build versus your average male build, she's destroying him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I, because of that, and the whole her, because let's be real here, bro. The way they did Gustav, bro. I know that's the first act and shit, bro. It still bothers me. Also, it bothers me that they replaced Gustav with Gustav, but that's a whole other situation.
Gustav with I because Ben Starr does the voice
Yeah,
for Verso, and I always I love Ben Starr. I like him in pretty much everything I've heard him in. That man is just an angry whisperer. Like I love his voice because it's always deep, but it always has this whisper feel to it. But I'm like at the same time, I'm like, yo, dude, if this dude gets pissed off at me, I'm like might be legitimately kind of scared.
my joke name for Ben Starr is Nerd Statham.
That's so fucking true. Like,
because hey, if you could have Jason Statham do all of these lines, and you would get the exact same thing. Like I know Jason Statham doesn't have the emotional complexity, but in spirit, right? Because
oh yeah, no, exactly. They have that same kind of like very like it's every word feels kind of like a threat.
Yeah.
Like he could be very much just going and ordering at Arby's, and you're not really sure if like he's asking you or he's telling you.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to take that Arby's order. Like,
imagine being in the drive-through and being like, "What can I get your order?" I need an Arby's ham and cheese sandwich, and you're like, "Okay, yeah, sure, Jason Statham, don't ask questions." Okay, yeah.
Dude, like, we're supposed to have this in like 45 seconds. I feel like we should have it in 30 because if not, this tool is definitely gonna have that tool out.
Like Jason Statham's about to come around the corner, and if you guys don't have a food here, I'm very certain my life is over.
Hey, if I don't see y'all bagging at 29, I quit.
Like I'd be like poking my head up around the time, like, just so you know, there's a wait on the fries.
No, but yeah, Expedition 33. Like I said, it's one of those things you can literally talk about every aspect of that game on it: sound, story, audio, gameplay. You know what? Actually,
audiogasm.
I will give the biggest complaint to that game, and this is one of those things. Fuck Expedition 33 for the fact that I can't buy items in mass. The fact that if I want to, they have 10, weapon enhancement, whatever the heck they're called right now, and I want to buy all 10 of them, I have to hold X. No, where's insert 10? No.
Actually, I think personally, to me, my only gripe with this is there's two things. One, sometimes when they talk, I don't like the movement. Like I'm not always a huge fan of that. I know they're not supposed to be like just standing there like T-posing, but at the same time, sometimes when they talk, they're like, really? That's really interesting. And they're just like kind of like going all over, and I'm like, yo, like in one fucking spot. Okay, my eyes aren't gonna keep kind of fucking bouncing. But the second thing to me, and I will always crack up at this, is the fact that I don't know if you did you did like the little relationship things and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. The fact that you fuck Seal and then she tells you about her husband in the next fucking one.
Okay.
I laughed. I did. I couldn't help myself.
So again, the item purchasing wasn't stupid like hee ha ha right? Now I understand what you're saying about the like they move funny when they're interacting and talking with one another and all that, but because it's one of those the tricks of RPGs is and it's also all media whatever it may be, but you don't show the whole scene, right? You just show. But since they show just the characters interacting or the character talking, and they kind of, like how my background is, the background becomes less descript and the character's kind of focused, you're like, huh, you're like, what, is there a fly? What's going on here, bro? And so, yeah, the Ciel one's weird. very interesting choice. They should have introduced the interaction system, the companion system with Gustav for only one reason. Well, two, obviously male, but again, personal opinion, blah, 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 heavily ship that Lune and Gustav, greatest couple of all time. I know they weren't and all that stuff, but you see it there. She's the first party member and all that. And also with, homegirl who doesn't really like Gustav, but she died in his arms for...
Oh, Sophie?
Yeah, Sophie. I'm sorry. She obviously didn't like him. Like, you know what, dude? I'm about to go out. What should I do? Let me fuck up homeboy's day in life. Let me just...
Like, did you imagine just like, and he's like at the very end, he's looking at her and she's like, "You were such a good friend," and then just disappeared out.
It's essentially what she did, though, bro. Because think of it, when they're walking to the port to see the Gamage, she goes, "Oh, hey, there's Lune, like you two, and she's beautiful. She's a nice woman." And I get it. You also I understand that in their world, romance becomes a very weird idea because you have to, after a certain point, you're like, okay, no one's living past 50, and you're 18, so you're already like, okay, in 16 years I'm gonna be 34. Oh shit.
Exactly.
So I understand where that changes interactions and all that. And it's the day, it's going. Mm-hmm. I just feel like I don't know. I like Lune. I think she's a great character. Her interactions with Gustav and her interactions with Verso and everyone else. I just feel like they should have done the whole giving Gustav and Lune more of a a shine to be like, what?
I think Lune, kind of based on what you're saying, Lune should have also seen Gustav die. Because I understand why they didn't, because obviously it's more focused on Mael's reaction, and then during that time too, you fight the lamp master comes back, and I was like, yo, hold on, no, I whooped your ass. By game law, fall back into the water, but I get it. It just, yeah, I guess when it comes to Gustav, so much I was not all that connected to Gustav.
What?
I was not nearly as connected to Gustav, as I feel like some people were. I thought he was cool, kind of whatever.
Sorry. Oh man. Oh. Hey, it's cool. Again, people will. It's the whole thing. With you see it, Lune or Ciel. People that's, and I understand Gustav or Verso because they both. Man, a difference of opinion in 2025.
No, exactly.
Time to get those pitchforks, bro.
Don't worry. Once I put it on TikTok, then you'll start seeing the pitchforks. So it's and that's the thing I love about the game is there's so much. There's a guy that I watch on YouTube. He goes by Fat Brett, and he does video essays. And he just did one on the Paintress, and he did one on Renoir. And it's been really fun watching it. He's actually the reason why I do agree with him when he mentions that the whole family is kind of the villain of the series. And even though they're not necessarily villains, they're really not. But their inability to really work through their own issues is affecting everybody else in that painting, who are, in a sense, living, breathing people. And so I saw someone on I gotta see if I can find it. But they were on TikTok, and this guy, I don't remember what it was, but he made a joke about it, and I'm probably not going to be able to find it. But it was summing up Expedition 33 in I don't know, one or two sentences. And I think the best way I summed it up personally for me was I was like, burn victim plays Sims to escape reality. And so and some dude put it was father, it was middle-aged father, something like middle-aged father tries for 67 years to get his wife off of VR chat.
Oh, bro, there's so many dicky ways you can say a watershed. Like,
oh yeah, like, so it was yeah, it was just like I think the one I joked about it the one time, and I was like, I was watching this and I was like, this is so, this game is so beautiful, and I was like, white people's issues causing problems for everybody else again. Like, and so that was
hey,
my
surprisingly, I know they don't show enough of the world for us to find out about it, but what's shown didn't see no racism. Surprisingly, in a white people's world, just got us.
Oh, there's Token.
So wait, this is one of those things that is CL supposed to be Afro Franca? Where the fuck?
I have no clue.
Because she's obviously not the same skin tone as everyone else. And like there's also Lune's Asian and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
Lune's Asian. I don't really know what seal. I've always just featured her as just at the most a mixture between European and Middle Eastern.
Because I looked at her the first time I saw her, I was just all like, is she dirty or is she,
Yeah, I don't know when it comes to her. When the first time I saw her, all I really cared about was the fact that she was walking around with like a fucking dual bladed scythe, and I was just like, "Yep, there's my fucking lizard brain just being like, that's awesome."
Oh no, 100%. I'm saying, like when you actually interact with this character, I was like, wait, it's like because yeah.
I think she's just tan. Like I really didn't think anything. It's just tan.
Well, no, because I was, it's all Ubisoft developers, right? Or former Ubisoft developers, I should say.
Yeah, they probably get offended by that.
Calling them, still associating them with it. No,
yeah,
I love the fact that it's like, this expedition's gone to shit. I guess I'm just gonna spend the rest of my year alive as a gladiator. Like, oh girl.
you're like, okay. I think my favorite is the fact of it's still the fact that they call the leader, was it Golga, like chef. They don't they call it because because it was Versos, like the Gestals, the Gestals, whatever, were Versos' creation, and because he couldn't. At the time, you could tell he was a kid. He couldn't write chief, so he wrote chef. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's the little shit like this that makes me laugh. Oh, also fuck those mimes. Like the mimes aren't necessarily difficult. They just show up in the most inopportune times, and they're creepy as fuck.
The thing I don't like, again, that's the so. Again, I know the gameplay is damn near perfect, right? The two issues when it comes to gameplay, honestly, is interaction with the mimes and what the hell are those treasure chests called?
I don't remember.
Now the mimes, they just suck because breaking their wall. It's a bullshit mechanic that just damage check you at a certain point, because whenever you find them, it's either you can handle it at the time or you're gonna have to come back, and whatever. But the treasure chests, sometimes there's been 2 or 3 of them. The one, when you have to get the 2 things to make the sword to be able to.
Oh, yep.
The one where you go down, the dancer.
Mm-hmm.
The treasure chest in hers, because there's 2 of them. One of those treasure chests, I was like, no matter how much damage I'm putting out, you just run away. I'm out of here. I'll come back later.
I've done that before. We're just like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm a dip. And then I come back when I'm like super over leveled and I'm like, remember me, bitch? But that's how I felt with the mimes, at least. Like they weren't necessarily difficult because they really only have 2 fucking moves. But it's just breaking the breaking the wall. Once you break the wall, hell, it's easy as hell. But like, it's just like until then, you're just like doing the minimal of chip damage, and it's annoying.
And hey, it's the fact that like there's the with your normal enemies, you see the shield. Okay, I hit you 5 times, shield goes away. The wall's like, okay, so here's a number. You can't see this number, but whatever this number may be, you have to do that damage. Well, so if I hit you 5 times, don't worry about that type of number. We're talking about a big number. Nope, you didn't hit that number. Sorry.
That's crazy, and that's crazy how that works though too. Which also, I mean, it also makes it so that you have to kind of just. I'm just going as hard as possible. Yeah. I've only broken their shields once. Like that's it. I've only broken their shields once. And
what, the first one you fight in the prologue?
No, the one that I fought over in Serene's place. Like that one scared the shit out of me because I just hopped down, I walked over, and I hear, and I turn over and I just see one sprinting at me. I was like, nope.
Yeah. Also, personally, their stupid little fashion wear ain't worth it in my opinion.
It's not. I fucking hate it. Like I see people wearing it, I'm like, please don't. Like I don't like it at all. I prefer there's some really cool outfits. Like there's the I can't think of what they're called. They're like they're female looking, but they have like fire. They can turn between fire and ice. And they have like this like white kind of silky garb robe thing that you can wear. You can actually get that. And I loved it. It looked really cool. I put it on Luna, and it had a really cool look because she has to be the one to do it. And then I have one for Verso, which is like all like burnt and like looks like it's torn and like very much like, he looks like an edgelord. But
so I'm gonna be, give me my Starbucks, give me my caramel frappuccino, basic, but I love it. The Gamage outfits. I love the Gamage outfits. Or the flower outfit, where it's the all white version of the Gamage.
I like the all white ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exact. I love God. Some of them are so fucking good. The only thing that actually that really annoyed me, and it's nothing. It's actually something that, and I'm gonna. There's a couple of things that Trap has in here that I want to get to. That Mael, it's when like it's your turn and she's like parry it, and I'm like, yo, it's trying to concentrate. Shut the fuck up, like Mael, you can't tell me to go parry something, okay? Like I'm in the middle of learning how the moveset works right now.
Yeah.
You're starting to piss me off a little bit. Like, but it wasn't much. It was just whenever she would say that, I would end up breaking concentration. And so,
honestly, I don't use her in CL. They're in my backup. I use Lune, Verso, and Monaco, bro.
Right, I used Mael, Lune, and Verso mainly, with the last two as backup, but that's because I constructed them to be just, it was all like all burn damage heavy. Like my first playthrough was just strictly burn. I did not even know about the fucking Picto thing until the very end of the game. I went through all the way to the creation fight before I realized I could level up my Pictos. Like, or all the edit, like all the passives and shit. Yeah, I had none of those on until I finally got to the ending, and I was like, oh, these are cool. I can turn these. I had another dude, Games and Gamers, who was on here, who actually told me about it, and I was like, oh, okay. Put it in there, boom, just beat the shit out of it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I constantly like,
I felt so stupid. Like,
hey, bro, sometimes skipping that tutorial has its drawbacks.
It does. No, it definitely does. But no, I wanted to see. There's a couple of things that Trap had in here that I also wanted to bring up because I thought it was interesting, and he has another topic too. So, how would you feel if a future Final Fantasy had similar turn-based to Expedition 33?
I don't think Final Fantasy should go back to turn-based.
Okay.
I truly, again, like I said earlier, with it's the recency bias that we're so focused on the turn-based aspect of Final, that, like I said, ATB since Final Fantasy IV, 1991. The Super Nintendo had it where going. So the natural transition to action RPGs makes sense. Now, if they want to do it, there's the Saga games and there's Dragon Quest. There's a few others, but people don't play those games where it really matter. But like Dragon Quest, Kira Toriyama's dead, but Dragon Quest is a solid option.
Rip.
Saga games are built on a completely different system. But like Dragon Quest would be, in my opinion, a better one too, because with the style of Akira Toriyama, which is it's not he's not the most phenomenal artist, so you can replicate it. You can have other people do it. I would say with Dragon Quest specifically, that would be the best one to go with too, because of its natural art style. Doing the counters and the dodges and all that, and giving it that anime appeal, right? So instead of like how when you dodge in Expedition 33, where you just like do the little whoosh back and all that, or you jump over something. In Dragon Quest, I feel like it'd be much better to have the anime disappearing. I dodged it, or the substitution jutsu type deal. Whatever it's gonna be, you have options for an anime, visually inspired game to have anime visually inspired movement.
Oh, you really do.
You know,
like my brain just like finally hit that. Like, damn.
You can have the Luminary do instant transmission to boop boop out of the way of a move and all that stuff, or when they parry, to instead of zap just being a lightning bolt, have that zap be a Kamehameha, a Gallic gun, special beam cannon, like in design and all that, like how they would normally. Yeah, exactly. Like you can do anime things with Dragon Quest that I feel like would be way more interesting than just having Final Fantasy copy the same stuff, because it would look the same. Let's be real here.
Oh, true.
It would look just the same way, and then you're like, oh, well, look at it. Now they're just copying. Where when you have it on the Dragon Quest side, or even if you want to do Chrono, because again, similar anime-inspired design, right? You can do anime bullshit, and people be like, oh, that's cool. You do dodge, and it just shows the, like how they do the black lines going in one motion. Mm-hmm. You disappeared. They go in the other motion. You came back.
I could easily see, especially an anime style game having the very similar one. But I think with the way that the Final Fantasy kind of transferred over to more of the real time action adventure, I think that's just where it's going to stick. And I don't hate it. I don't know about how you feel about like games like 15 and 16. I personally liked 16. But I just can't see them going back to a traditional turn-based.
So when it comes to Final Fantasy, most of my favorite Final Fantasies are all post 10. Again, I've been playing Final Fantasy since the Super Nintendo, so it's one of those things where Final Fantasy 4, I remember that was called Final Fantasy 2 on the Super Nintendo. I remember when Final Fantasy 6 was called 3. And then everyone's like, we got a PlayStation 1. And you're like, Final Fantasy 7? We had 1. We had 2. We had 3. Where did the other 4 games go? Like, then you find out later that because, Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 were so close in timeline that they were like, oh, Final Fantasy 4 is the first one on Super Nintendo, so that's 2. And then 5 came out so close between 6, they're like, oh, well, fuck it, that's 3. But, Final Fantasy 16, that's a great story. That's a phenomenally fucked up, depressing story.
Mm-hmm. Like I would say it's definitely a story that has. I found it very. I don't want to just say sad, but it was hard to watch at times, especially with, I'm not gonna lie, with the way that his mother dealt with him, with Clive. and I love Clive. Like,
But hey, also, I understand where it's fucked up, right? And I'm not saying it's not, but then you also have to look at the context of the culture of their kingdom.
yeah, that's very
She
true.
she remembered because she even said she loved him until she realized he wasn't the Phoenix. Because, well, now my position is head mom, uh, the dowry mother, whatever it's gonna be. Well, that's gone. Like, they're also gonna look at you, look at your dad, and see that, contextually speaking, Clive is a huge issue to his mom. They don't look alike. He's not the chosen boy. He's not going to be king ever because he doesn't have the phoenix in him. Where Joshua looks just like her. He has the phoenix. He has the claim that she wants to have.
Mm-hmm.
So because
No, I agree.
and not everyone treats their this isn't Attack on Titan. It's not Shifters. Not everyone treats their primals the same too.
Yeah, they call icons.
Icons.
Icons. Yeah, no, because I mean, even when they're basically used as just war machines, anyways. It always felt like, especially when you see ones like Odin, you saw the way that Titan, the Titan one, um, Shiva, like they were just kind of used for war, if anything, at best. But I like I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed it on a gameplay setting. Like I felt it was fun for the most part. And this is something that I know you brought up too. I was going to actually talk about Elden Ring for a second, but I want to bring this up. Is we talked about the repetitiveness of like a video game and how a video game
Yeah.
can get repetitive. And what's funny is I felt that way a little bit with Final Fantasy 16, but nothing too bad. I felt it a lot with the latest Tales game, Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise got old very quickly, and it was really confusing as to why at first, because Tales of Arise plays kind of similarly um to Final Fantasy 16, and I was like, why is one I'm getting one? And I think a lot of it comes down to, it sounds weird, but it comes down to audio. In Tales of Arise, you're performing a lot of, I don't know if you played it or not, but you're performing a lot of flashy combos, and you get your special abilities and all that stuff off like crazy. I don't mind them, but there's like maybe like at the most maybe like 11 or 12 different combos, and you'll hear at least 4 or 5 of them in every battle.
So, repetition and it's all repetitive gameplay is all in the eye of the beholder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's great. We talked about you play the NCAA 2025, right? So Final Fantasy 16 is a great example, and I was thinking about. I was going to bring this up anyway, so I'm glad you're a sports fan. Imagine Final Fantasy 16 will stay action. Final Fantasy will stay as an action game because imagine you draft or you trade for, a number one pick as your quarterback or whatever it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, his first season, first 2 seasons, maybe, it was good. There might be room for improvement. Wasn't horrible. You going to bench him and try to go back to the old thing?
No.
Hey, because if you want Final Fantasy 16 to go back into turn-based, that's what you're doing when you get rid of Homeboy who did Devil May Cry.
Damn, yeah, you got me on that one. No, that's fair. I mean, I guess and that's very true too. Is I think that like when you do like I said, I like the way that they move forward. I like the action. I like that because it's just action. I like action adventure kind of style games anyways.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they work. I don't think going back to turn based would be a benefit anyways, just because of the fact that, not even just for the fact of, I think it would alienate a lot of fan bases trying to go back again, and this flip flop wouldn't be a good look for Final Fantasy anyways.
But to the Tales of Arise thing. Now, this is also where, when it comes to repetition, right? Because I heard one of my friends told me that in a live that someone said that Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 is repetitive, when I know the person who said that plays Destiny.
Okay.
But see, repetition is all in the eye of the beholder, because if you want to get down to brass tacks, Destiny's hella repetitive.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I when I played both, I enjoy both.
Yeah,
I like my only big thing is I wish I could just turn the fucking combo system off. That was my only down with it, or they would shorten it up a little bit. But yeah, I definitely get that, and I do think that repetition is in the eye of the beholder. Like that's why a game like South of Midnight worked for some people really well, and some people it didn't, because I do believe it did it for me. As much as I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the lore, the atmosphere, the fear, the feel of the game. It is fucking amazing. But the combat system to me did get repetitive after a while.
Hey, South of Midnight is like a C plus B minus game today, right? Nothing wrong with that. C plus B minus, you're above average barely. Cool. If that shit launched about 10 to 6 years ago, that'd be like a B plus A minus all day. All day.
Yeah, and for me personally, I mean, if I was even the greatest, I would put it as a B just because of everything around it. It's just that combat itself that does get old, and yeah, that's the only reason why I wouldn't give it anything higher than a B.
Again, just because we've seen that gameplay loops done so much in the last 10 years is what's holding it back personally. And but again, if that launched 10 years ago, 10 to 6 years ago, when it wasn't as popular, it wasn't as well known, and wasn't done as well. Like if it was done in the caliber it was today, 2018,
Yeah,
bro, that people, what the?
and they would blow their minds would be blown from it.
Yeah,
and I think and that's why and that's where it gets me a little bit hard to say, because as much as I do love the game, that's what holds it back. Is eventually the combat was the fact that I don't even get a heavy attack until after what two boss battles in.
yeah.
I don't even get a heavy attack. I'm using the same button, and I was like, nah. This is why I'm starting to feel a little bit of a struggle, because these enemies are changing, but I'm not adapting fast enough to not really. And I'm like, I'm not really a whole fan of this. But like I said, I will eventually push through it. I'll make myself do it because I want to see how it ends. And I'm already, like I said, I'm assuming I'm at the Rougarou, I think it is. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool. I want to see how this goes. But yes, I do. I think that as much as you mentioned, repetition, or the gameplay repetition, is in the eye of the beholder. I also, I agree with that on even games that I normally would. This is why I do understand people, like you mentioned before, about the gameplay for Spoken can be a bit repetitive.
And you brought up Tales of Arise, right? That's actually a great one to bring up, because I completely get where that can be repetitive. But in the same vein, as I've played all the Tales games, that natural evolution that it is, I don't see it that way, because I've seen where it was on a 2.5D plane, and you're just moving left and right, and then left, right, up and down, then full circular, and then the slow transition into 3D and all that, and to have it done at the pinnacle of what it currently is. Honestly, I hate saying this, but Tales of Arise will probably be in the next Tales game. Hopefully it's a plateau, and it's a better story maybe, or it looks better.
Yeah.
But gameplay wise, I'm expecting a plateau or a decline,
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And and like for myself, I've only really played like I think it was like Tales of, was it Vesperia, I think, or Symphonia? I don't remember exactly which one. It was on. It was like a HD remake version of it. And that
It's
one was
probably
kind of that. Like, it probably was Symphonia. It was like it was a circular kind of combat ish. It felt like, but I don't remember which one. I'll let you know when I can remember it. But I do agree. Like when like I do enjoy it, and this took me all the way through to the, I think it's the water boss or whatever,
yeah.
before I finally started feeling that burnout fatigue.
Oh yeah.
And so the thing lasted me a long time, but that was the only thing that got to me. Was like after a bit I was like, all right, I'm hearing the same names getting called out constantly. I was like, I don't mind this. I had to start playing it on mute because it was just like it got to the point for me where I was just like, I think this is just easier. I can just play this on mute and I can still use all my, everything else is fine.
So the
But
same thing for Star Ocean games, bro. Because
I've never played a Star Ocean, but I've heard stuff.
so they're wildly inconsistent. They pretty much, if you're a super sci-fi fan, great. If you're not, it will be an experience. But it's also in the same vein as Tales of, right? Where they both started off with that like 2.5, camera angle, go in a circle, you know, and but they do the same thing. Photon slash, X blade, photon slash, X blade, X blade. Like, whatever the art the skill are using. Oh yeah, bro. They fucking air slash, air slash.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I said before, I think there's still cool stuff to it. I love the visuals, and I love like that's why like I said, like Dragon Listen to Dragoon, where you get your move off, and he's like double slash, you know.
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of corny, or like the what is it? The one guy is like harpoon. He just does it all the time. I'm cracking up at it.
Oh, yeah. And that's also because it's what anime. Like, remember, Japan. This is where a lot of these things come from, right? So because you think Expedition 33, Western developer, they don't do the whole, guess to my bad. Again, no jokes. They don't do flame touch or whatever they don't, because that's all you do. Like Western developers, they don't think like that, but Japanese developers are like in anime. Yeah, bro, you're about to do an attack. You yell that attack. Why? I don't know the cultural reasons for why they do it, but they're like, yeah, that's what we do, bro. Kamehameha.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I have to let my opponent know I'm about to shoot an energy blast in their face, and it's called a Kamehameha. Can't you just do it? No, you just
No,
you
yes, I have to let you know, and you have to sit here for the next 30 seconds while I go and I explain to you what my ability. That's actually, jokes aside, that's why I liked Jujutsu Kaisen, because they actually have a whole stigma about that.
Oh yeah.
Like, if I tell you what my attack is, it's actually stronger, and I'm like, what?
No, hey, Jujutsu Kaisen deals with a lot of things very intelligently. I know the fan base likes to just go down to the again. It's
Gojo versus
internet interactions, right? It's all meme culture, hee-hees and ha-has. Let's not actually talk about something. Let's just be like, yeah, Gojo solos. Oh, he can solo my face and whatever.
Solo my face. I'm not gonna lie though. I will admit though, there was quite a few where I remember I would watch like the people reacting or whatever, and it was like when people saw Gojo or Toji, for example, too. I was watching like there was like multiple streamers and they would react, and there was this one girl and I saw who was like reacting, and she saw Toji and was just like, as soon as that motherfucker stood up, and I was like, couldn't be me.
What was the one I heard? God, it was so horrible. It was what was it? Also, I made an anime music video where I was like, "Yo, Toji can do me, bro. It's cool. It's Toji, bro. I don't give a shit."
The thing was, I think the one I saw, it was the Nanami one.
Bro,
when he walked and grabbed the dude by the ponytail, and it was just like, oh, I was like, bro, the Haruta, I think his name was.
yeah.
But I was like, bro, there ain't no recovering from like the amount of like, not even from like Nanami's punch. Like, I'm sorry, but every ounce of any kind of like that little bit of coolness you might have had, not only left, but I watched it leave with your girl. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. JJK, surprise, considering a Japanese thing and all that, really fucking knows how to thirst trap for a Western audience.
It really did,
because it's really weird because there's a lot of Japanese cultural jokes and mindsets and mentality in there that did you read it or are you watching only?
I'm all caught up in watching and I've read all of it.
Okay, so the game show,
Hikari,
yeah, Hikari's makes no fucking sense. And again, anyone who lives in America, has spent their whole life in America, and says they get all those jokes, they're so full of shit. My eyes are brown. Okay, no, you don't. Sorry, you're lying. I don't care that you walk around in a kimono all day, homeboy, in fucking Fort Lauderdale. You do not get these jokes because they are made for people who were born and raised in Japan. And that's fine. Like, I would, hey, that's one of the few times I would not want to be a translator. Like, oh, God.
No, well, and we found out, too, because later on, the translator, I think, like, one of the translators was so bad that they actually had a second translator come in and is now redoing the entire series.
Of JJK?
Yes. So it was some translator they go by Lightning, and there was one I don't remember, there was translator A and then there was translator B who's Lightning, and translator A would constantly make mistakes that Lightning would end up going back and then retranslating over, and now Lightning is going through and just translating the entire fucking series again.
So there's, again, Square Enix needs they have a white guy who's their head of translation, right? Fox Koji or something. That's, if you look up Koji Square Enix, you're gonna see, again, Japanese name, big white guy, balding, grew up in Japan.
Okay.
He needs to literally start his own company where that's all he does is translations for, like, not him personally, but like hire translators and get them, because it's wild out there.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, I'm seeing like all the stuff that he's translated. It was just crazy. Jesus, like, what's funny is this reminds me of, like, there's some people that, like, it's really good at, they're good at what they do. But it reminds me of like in the old Yu-Gi-Oh series, all the way up to, I think it was Vrains, they had one person whose whole thing was to designate every single battle. Every duel, this one dude had to sit there and go through the entire thing of what would get played and what wouldn't. And I was like, that to me sounds like absolute hell torture.
Wait. So this guy's whole job was be like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing that.
So yeah, so he'd be like, this play, this and this move and this move and this. Yeah, he would translate, or not translate, but he would be the one to coordinate the duels.
Yeah. Like, all right.
He said the hardest deck to ever have to work with was the deck of Salivant Greats from Vrains. And because that deck, it runs so and as an actual Yu-Gi-Oh player, the deck runs so fucking efficiently that pretty much there's no reason it should have ever lost ever in the game.
Again, who was his opponent?
His opponents were his loss was to Bowman. because Soulburner was the character who played the Solomon Grades, and he's won multiple times. But his only loss I can think of, he lost twice. It was a kind of I don't know if it was a loss or a do not finish to Revolver, one of the main antagonists, turned kind of like the Kaiba of the group, and then Bowman, who was the actual villain, who just kind of had like bullshit fucking ability, like it's bullshit power. His deck is not very good, but it just happens to, it works because Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
And Bowman played Hydra drives that could shut down element style decks, except for light and dark. So yeah, it's wild when you look through some of that. But that's what I saw from it. But no, I want to get to one of the last things I want to get to. This is a big thing. I'm actually going to plan on doing a video about this. And it's A24 is making a live action Elden Ring film. What are your thoughts on that?
So what else has A24 done? Because there's very few people currently that I would say I'm going to trust in doing it. If you really wanted to make a proper Elden Ring movie, go to New Zealand, get Phil Jackson?
Peter Jackson?
There we go. I was like, I feel like I'm saying the wrong name here. Yeah, go get Peter Jackson. Cut, print, money, get it.
So they made movies because I know they've made a bunch, but all like films right now would be solo films. Materialists, Sorry Baby, Bring Her Back, The Smashing Machine, the newest one of The Rock that's coming through. Death of a Unicorn, The Brutalist, which I think those I don't know about Death of a Unicorn, but I know The Brutalist I think was up for. We Live in Time, Heretic, Maxine, Civil War. I believe. So I mean, they're built on like slow. I think they also made, Talk to Me. So they made some horror ones too. Beau is Afraid. What was the one that? I think they made Midsummer. They made Midsummer, and they made Hereditary as well, I believe. So they have The Whale. That was a really good one.
So personally, Peter Jackson, I haven't seen enough of those movies to comment on that. But again, this is one of those. I won't say on quality of script, but in quality of film direction and practical and 3D effects. The people who did the Dungeons and Dragons movie, Among Thieves,
mm-hmm.
the one with Chris Pine,
yeah,
they can do an Elden Ring movie.
They already have a director too. So they have a director, Alex Garland. So Alex Garland is set to direct the movie. He has made. Let's see. Let me go check some of his. So he's a writer. He's a writer director, I guess. So that's kind of nice. Let me go check what he did. I had it up here, but I don't have it up here anymore. So his IMDb, and I will actually present. We're actually going to share the screen so I can show this. So that's Alex Garland. So he's known for Civil War, Men, Annihilation, Ex Machina. So these are the ones I think as a writer he's written. So Warfare, Civil War, Men, Devs, Annihilation, the DMC, Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, and those ones as well. Oh, he also, I guess he wrote Dread, which if you've ever seen Dread, that was a good one.
Oh, Dread. Hey, you mean the Western version of the Raid Redemption? The Raid?
Carl Urban's, yeah. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, fantastic. That's a really, if you want a game with a really good story, play that one.
That's dude. He wrote that video game.
I liked it. 28 Days Later.
Okay.
And then he's doing the 28 Years Later, I believe, too.
Okay,
yeah.
so the movies, well, he's writing those, so that's
Yeah. So I don't know if he'll be as a director.
So Civil War. Does that say he was the director of Civil War? No, he wrote Civil War.
So he directed 8 of them. So these are the ones he directed: Warfare, Man, Civil War, Devs, Annihilation, and Ex Machina.
Yeah. Oh no, he did direct Civil War.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. But it's gonna be interesting because I don't like, for me as a fan of Elden Ring, I don't really know where you like. Are you just gonna show the beginning? But then I feel like it kind of, I don't know if it's gonna, they're gonna pull the Halo and be like, this is actually just a different universe thing. You know what I mean? Like,
bro, as long as they don't do Monster Hunter, I'm cool. Oh, and speaking of RPGs, because I just brought Monster Hunter, I'm not talking about Monster Hunter as an RPG. Monster Hunter is an action adventure game. But when people want turn-based, again, I think it's on Game Pass as well. Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2 are actually really good turn-based RPGs.
I've never. Are they on Game Pass?
They're on something. It's either Game Pass or PSN.
I'll take a look at them.
Plus.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at them. I'll check it out because I am not a huge Monster Hunter guy. But I would not mind trying them.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those. There's so many, RPGs because I just feel like, the recency bias, the repetitiveness, because it's all one of those things where it all ties in together, right? But there's so many different turn-based RPGs out there that they get overshadowed because the desire to be on the tip of the talk of, the water cooler engagement, niche shit gets forgotten. What's that one that's nothing but dioramas? Neo Fantasian. It was released on the Apple Arcade.
Oh, okay. And that's what I've heard of
it. Now there's a console version of it.
Mm.
It's made by one of the original developers of Final Fantasy, turn-based RPG, amazing. Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler. If you want, like,
those, I have started Octopath, and that was fun. So I just need to continue it.
And hey, interesting way how, again, it has a stab system where, you can break the order, right? And that's what you're trying to do. Oh, because you see on the top of the little thing right there, they'll always have, here's the turn order. You can break the, you can do a stab with, you can break their whatever it may be to get them to not act anymore. Like, there's so many different ways and so many different types of RPGs for people to say that turn-based, oh, it's some brand new thing. When even I'll go with the easy, low-hanging fruit. Persona, like Atlas, Metaphor Refantasio, like just because one person backed out of the turn-based space and pivoted, I'm not going to be like, you know what? There's no more trucks coming out. Mazda don't make trucks no more.
I mean, you're right though. Like, you're right. I don't like that whole feeling that, like, You know, it's just when it comes to, because I'm not gonna lie, Persona is one of my favorites, but like I don't. I guess I don't. I want to see more. I want to see more turn based. Personally, I do want to see more turn based. I like seeing more innovative turn based. Now that we do got things like Persona coming through and stuff, there are going to be a Persona 4. Now Persona is kind of becoming a little more homogenous too. There are including that system like they did with Reload, where they started including the all out attack system and all that. I don't know if they've had that in 3 or 4 in the original ones, and I do think that I guess one of my biggest fears is that every turn-based game is going to get now compared to that, to Expedition, and I don't think that's very. I don't like comparing games too much anymore, unless there's like a why don't I like this one compared to this one, um, or why there's like something that I'm trying to work on. But like I don't know. Overall, I don't know. I'm all over.
No, it's so that's why I wanted to make sure before I said something, because so technically speaking, if let's well, actually, Persona 2 had it, but it wasn't an all-out attack. It was just their combo system.
Okay.
Like, and that's what but yeah, Persona 3 definitely had the all-out attacks and all that. It's been there, and this is where one of those things where, like, I'll say Final Fantasy 7, now specifically Persona 5, but even Persona 4 as well. Everything after Tales of Arise, you're going to see similarities. They found their perfect game, right? And not perfect in the sense that it's perfect, but perfect in that it has enough, it's lightning in a bottle. I hate that saying, because all I ever do is hear Stone Cold Steve Austin talk about lightning in a bottle. Hey, bro, I love his podcast. Stone Cold, the Broken Skull Farm is one of my favorite podcasts because that fool's just hilarious.
I'll have to go listen to it.
Dude, hey, would you ever expect Stone Cold Steve Austin to become a crazy cat man?
I want to say yes, but no.
Yeah, he's a crazy cat man, bro. He's out like, I got my barn cats out there. Look at that. They're in my truck. Let me sit down in my spot. He won't do it. Like,
that's okay. That's crazy. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but
it's like thinking about him now. Like I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, because remember him. Flip off your boss, chug a 6-pack in 2 seconds, throw a beer in the crowd, have a crack. Like that's not typical what you'd expect.
No, and then he goes back home with his cats. Like
Yeah, but
I love it though.
Like they caught their perfect formula, whether it be in Persona. So specifically with Persona 4 and 5, right? You have the teen versus adult thing was introduced in Persona 3. That's where you get the whole and again, that's an easy story, right? But like the characters of your party are very Persona 2 and Persona 3. Have you played 4 at all?
No.
Okay. You're probably going to wait for the remake of 4 to come out before
probably.
you.
I've heard 4 is good. So
4 is good. Okay, but you played 5. So Fox, right? Fox, Kojiro, right? That's Fox's name.
Yusuke.
Is it Yusuke Kojiro?
Kojiro is Yusuke Katawa is on, I think.
Oh, Kitagawa.
Is it Kitagawa?
Yeah.
Oh, Kitagawa, yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm trying to think of. Yeah, don't know why I said Kojiro, but yeah, Yusuke. So Yusuke is a really good adaptation of these two characters, which is the kind of weak in a way, the question of feminine, masculine, and all that, because the quest for eternal beauty, right?
Yep.
So on 3, I'm sorry. Have you finished 3? Have you finished Reload, or
I'm
have you
still working
started?
through Reload. I have a bad tendency of like, oh, you're gonna tell me I can grind this plate, so then I grind, then I end
Yeah.
up like over leveling in myself, or I just forget to keep going.
Do you have all the cast of characters in your party at least?
Yes, because the last one I had is the dude got shot, so I'm pretty sure I don't get anybody else after that.
Okay, so you have Ken.
Yeah, I have Ken Amata. Yeah.
So Yusuke is essentially a combination of Ken from Persona 3 and not June. God, Ekichi from Persona 2: Innocent Sin.
Okay.
Ekichi is a character who his dad's a sushi. His dad runs the local the local sushi bar, sushi place, and all that stuff. And Ekichi. If you look up a picture of Ekichi from Persona 2, you'll see he does very like glam makeup. He has blue hair. He like corpse paints essentially.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me see. I think I found him. Pikachu. Okay.
Yeah. So his whole thing in Persona 2, because they're never going to release it, so they're never going to remaster it and shit, because no Persona fans don't care about 1 and both 2s. Neither does Atlas. Ekichi is very traditionally raised. He believes in beauty and creation and all that stuff, right? He's in a band. He's doing the glam makeup. He's constantly fighting against his family, who expect him to, quote unquote, be a man and man up and work in the sushi parlor with us, because that's what you do as a man and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the questions of his if he's a part of the Luigi Got Big Titty community or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's all these things, and then you have with Ken and his own self-discovery and self-worth. Like it's hard. I know I'm painting it poorly, because this is
No, you're fine. I'm understanding what you're saying. Like you said,
but
too,
like they take these two ideas. I'm not saying like it's a perfect, but it's the skeletal structure. They take the skeletal structure of both 2s and 3s and put them together and make 4, make 5. Just like Final Fantasy 7. If you played 4 and 6, you'd be like, oh, Sephiroth's just Kefka and Golbez.
I've heard that before. That sounds very familiar.
And then, hey, well, that was so successful. We're going to keep repeating the formula, because now you got Sephiroth, you have Cypher, you have Kuja, Jack. In 12, you have, I can't remember his name right now, but you have Bosch's twin brother. In 13, God, what the hell was the stupid shit in 13? I don't remember. 13's 13. It's divisive. But 15, you have Arden, Noctis's great 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 uncle, who's controlled by the evil of the verse to like it's all formulatic stuff, but it's formulatic because it sold well.
Right.
It made something. Because even with Final Fantasy 16, right? You're actually the Sephiroth technically.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, because that actually, now that you mention it, that's very similar to Borderlands, what they did with Handsome Jack.
Yeah.
Handsome Jack, the Calypso twins are just not Handsome Jack. Like they are, but they wanted that same kind of dickish kind of character that has like a threat level underneath. The difference is they didn't do it that well with these characters, but
And hey, eventually all games will get to a point where they make something and they're gonna be like, oh damn. Have you played the Far Cry games?
you're thinking of Vosh, right?
Yeah.
Because they made the guy from 4, which I don't remember his name, and then Joseph Seed, who's very much like a Vosh, too, kind of like a Vosh.
Again, I'm not saying that they're going, okay, we do the exact same thing, but this one was black haired. We'll make this one red haired. No.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense though, because eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, this worked really well, so let's try it kind of again, just in a different skin.
Yeah, you give it the same skeletal structure, and then like, okay, so the foundation's cool, but instead of some crazy, I can't remember if he was like Mexican or if he was just a local islander or if they were off like a Hispanic.
Voss?
Yeah,
I think he was an islander.
but I can't remember like if their island is a Hispanic island or an Asian island, because he kind of sounded like that should be a Hispanic island, but I don't think it was at the same time. Yeah, Pagan Min. I didn't want to say the last name because I could have.
Thor was Pagan Min. Oh, okay.
I know 6 is obviously like Cuba. Like I'm not,
Yeah. So they it's like a fictional. So he's a Vas Montenegro. Oh my god, he's a Rook Islander. 6 is basically Cuba.
Yeah, it's Cuba, bro.
5 is Montana.
Yeah, but they make they got their formula. They're making the same characters, slight differences. Honestly, and I'm going to say the hot take of all of those people, I actually think the best one was Joseph.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I loved Joseph. Like I loved. I mean, granted, yes, his little party thing wasn't all that great. Like the John Seed, Jacob Seed, and girl. Because she's not even technically a seed. She's someone else that they recruited into there.
No, remember they had what was it? The sister's dead, and they just keep kidnapping bitches who look just like her to be like, yep.
So you are now, and then they just pump them full of the bliss stuff, and then yeah. So it's really bad when you really think about it. But Joseph Seed was definitely one of my most interesting. I actually love Joseph Seed, and then it's one that I don't think about. It's kind of fun, but I don't think about. But I honestly liked Far Cry Primal. Like, I know that was not everyone's best favorite game, but I'm like, I really had fun with it.
Far Cry Primal suffers from being a intermediary release, right?
Mm-hmm.
It used 3's map completely. Like if you look at the Primal map and the 3 map, there's not a single change to it.
Fair.
All they did was go, okay, people like bow and arrows. So instead of having a compound bow, we're going to give them the first bow.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I think the one thing I will say that I did like the fact that you could have different little animals with you. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting game. Honestly, I tell people, like, if you can get it on sale, pick it up on sale. It's fun.
Hey, if they did, what was what's the one that has the animated show? Blood Hawk, Blood Dragon, Dragon Hawk.
Yeah, Far Cry Blood Dragon, I think it was.
That was a game too, but it was an expansion, a DLC to 3. If that's what Primal was, if Primal was just like, hey, here you are on your Far Cry 3 hub, play, Sticks and Stones version, play Cyberpunk version. Like, oh, cool, Sticks and Stone version. Oh shit, that's Woolly Mammoth. Cool. Making it an actual separate game was their issue.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I think it was still a fun time, but yeah, I can definitely see that point of view. You said Trap there. Said Jack was a lovable big bad because he was striving for a purpose other than just sheer power. I kind of disagree with that one because I do think that he wanted. If you're talking about Handsome Jack from Borderlands, his whole thing was to get the warrior.
Wait. See, this is one of those again. people love things, so they're gonna defend things, and that's fine. But let's be honest with it, right? Handsome Jack used his daughter to do what? Get more power.
Trick the Vault Hunters into making sure that they were there.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, the thing that I love about Jack, and I'll always say that Jack is a threat that tries to come off as not a threat until you provoke him.
He is very Machiavellian, and what makes him what people love about him, and again, like we've said this before on your TikToks and before we went live,
yeah,
Borderlands 3, because of when it came out, very Marvel dialogue fatigue. If Borderlands 2 came out in the post Marvel's, corpse and all that shit, people will not like Handsome Jack as much as they do. Because he's just at the cusp of when this shit started to go like, ha ha ha, you have a stupid face.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Jack. I would say less with Jack and more with Tyrene and Troy. But I think it's because of the fact that Jack represented to me something so like you had. As I said, Borderlands 1 I don't really count because Commandant Steel really doesn't do jack shit. But like Borderlands 2 is where you saw this guy who was just you couldn't help but kind of laugh at the shit he would talk about, and that's thanks to the voice actor who was that Damon Clark, I believe, who did phenomenal as Jack. But it was just the fact of you had this dude who just he just was he's a likable douche. And even the little bits and pieces when something wouldn't go his way and then he'd just explode. When you're trying to defend the little town or whatever in 2, and he's launching all these loaders on him, and he's just screaming to bring more loaders because he's at the end of the day he's fucking immature. And I loved it. I love that there's a hint of like you can see him crash. He crashes out actually quite a bit. But it's the little bits and pieces where you see his facade crack, and it's not once Angel dies, the whole mask drops, and that is where I think I loved him the most. And even that little bit kills Roland, throws the little thing, captures Lilith, and then pretty much is like fuck you, and then just leaves.
So I will say my favorite stuff about Jack isn't even in Borderlands 2, and it's not the pre-sequel because it's
Tails.
Oh, bro, yeah, it's Tails.
It's Tails.
So, but that's the fucked up thing though. It's technically not even Jack. Like, no. I know it, but that AI, simulation in Homeboy's head is just fucking hilarious, bro.
Oh, honestly, it is.
And I like I like that Borderlands 3 had Reese in it. Oh, bro, I love their portrayal of Reese being like, because let's be real here. Personal opinion, obviously, Reese does everything Jack does, but better.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good way. That's an interesting way to look at it, actually. And the thing about Reese I love too is Reese. Well, he shows up with the fucking mustache. Like I was, and I think with Reese, what I loved about him too is that he's still that same kind of bumbling character.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's very still competent with what he does.
Oh yeah.
I
was pissed. I was pissed when Zero. I was like, "Yo, is Zero a traitor? What the?" But like, nah. Homeboy's like, "Of course, fucking Zero's not gonna betray me, bro. What the fuck?" Nah. Like honestly, I really do feel like if there's not too much of a jump in time frame, that to try to save it because people love him so much, Borderlands 4 will have Reese as the villain. If it's not too much of a jump in time frame and they want to kind of course correct because people didn't like, the twins. They're
Well, I
gonna make.
know. Well, four is. I don't know what they're gonna do with like any of those other characters, because four is not even near them. It's it's on. I can't think of the place the planet's called at the moment, but it's on a completely different planet separate for them after the
Yep.
events of three, and I love that whole concept. The fact that the moon of what is it, Ilos, I believe.
Yeah.
And it smashed into a shield which was containing this planet held by the Timekeeper. But I will say, I personally really enjoy the fact of this Timekeeper character seems very much like different than what we're getting. We're not getting this really snarky kind of, Jack character. We're getting a character that has been in control for a long time and knows this is what you do here. You don't change. So I'm liking a much more serious character in this, a much more serious antagonist. I like that a lot. I'm glad we're getting a break away from just regular douchebag characters to getting someone who just seems like right off the rip a serious threat.
Steel was a serious threat.
I did not find Steel as a threat.
You know why you don't feel Steel is a threat, though? Again, personal opinion on this one, right? Because what was Steel? Atlas? No, Steel was Atlas. Was she? Was she at?
I think she was Atlas.
Yeah. So Atlas is viewed, whatever company she was, like the general, right? General Steel.
Commandant Steel.
Commandant Steel. Thank you. Whatever she was commandant for, they're viewed as
the Crimson Lance.
Huh?
The Crimson Lance.
Yeah. She, it's viewed as the largest, greatest military organization in the star system, galaxy, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn them into fucking clown shoes the whole time. And then she also goes out very disrespectfully. Like, oh, I opened the key.
And that's where I think that I didn't find her as a threat, is because she also doesn't. The thing that Commandant Steel lacked was presence, a constant presence in the game. She doesn't really have it. And by the time you really are like, okay, we're actually going to deal something with her, like, fuck, General Knox has a better presence than she does. And he's a DLC character. And you don't even fully see him until the end of the game.
Oh, shit, I might be thinking about General Knox now. You say that.
Like, General Knox's whole thing is he was literally going to fucking end himself. And then you show up and he's like, oh, I guess I won't. But I think
am I thinking about General Knox? Dude, he's like the main DLC villains in the first Borderlands game, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's the Secret Armory of General Knox's DLC.
Yeah. I'm definitely thinking about General Knox. Oh fuck. But General Knox.
That was my yeah, so she's not even encountered in person. I was just going to check the last thing here. She's not even encountered in person until you go fight the destroyer.
Yeah.
Which is fucking stupid. So what bothers me is the fact that they didn't really have a villain. She's just the head of the Crimson Lance, which is just a fucking rogue group anyways. And then when they brought in Jack, now we have someone who's actually like can expand upon this, and I like that a lot better.
Hey, like I always say, bro, anyone who says that the first game in a series is the best, they're trying to be different. The first game should typically be the worst. I know that sounds wild to say, but
the most baseline of it.
Yeah.
It should be the most baseline of what you're getting. So however Steel would somehow be extracted from the destroyer, and then be claptrapped into serving Claptrap's new robot revolution. That is fucking mean. Like, this villain doesn't even shows up once, gets off, and then becomes part of Claptrap's fucking thing.
I don't get the Claptrap hate.
I don't hate Claptrap, but she becomes Steel Trap, or he takes over her mind, her body. Yeah, fuck that. I don't hate Claptrap. Just that little bit piece got me. But other than that, we've also been on for 2 hours, which is damn. It's been actually been a lot. I don't even feel it's been 2 hours, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, does it? Like, I've been just sitting here and been like, damn, it's already like fucking 8:30. But so we'll wrap this one up. We'll just have to do a part 2. But we'll wrap this one up. And so I want the chance quick here to let them know where they can find you.
It's ThorasaurusWrex on everything. Twitter, I will never call it X. I don't care if I'm on my deathbed. Fucking pull that plug. It's Twitter. Beep. But YouTube, that's one of the ones I still have to get better with. Video editing is very daunting, and also to pull things from streams and recordings I have and try to put it all together to make it look good to the way I want is also very daunting. But yeah, it's ThorasaurusWrex, always with a W, at Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. When it comes to streaming, I try to have a schedule. Life exists, and I'm on the wrong side of 30. Wrong side. Like, hey, bro, that's a young man. I get it. I'm not that good. If I could do the no scope 360 backflip, yeah, sure. This would definitely be scheduled, but I can't do that. I can do dick and ball jokes and fart jokes and talk about my knowledge of very nerdy niche games. So it's when I can and want to.
That's the easiest way to say it. When you can. But I appreciate that. You guys know where to find me. TikTok. I'm not even gonna go and explain it because you guys already know. I say this every fucking time. So with all that being said, everyone, I'm Taylor from Afro Official G, and I'll be catching you all in the next one.